I had a hope for some general advice here. That's what I had come here today for, thinking about anyway. On dealing with being in the presence of very judgmental people.
Welcome to the world.
Yeah. And often you don't have to actually deal with them, so maybe it's a mood issue, but...
Oh, judgment's everywhere.
Well, right. You can
constantly.
You can, in large part, you can avoid interacting with it, but
you can.
Try to.
Okay.
But you don't get to choose your relatives. So if it's somebody who's there all the time,
apparently not. No.
Someone who's there all the time, and they express, not just judgments, but rather extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And very much of the what shouldn't be variety, and bitter, and still stuck on things that happened 30 years ago, or straight out hard racist things, and of course one could react with one's own judgment about that's wrong
easily,
but
or that's them.
Well, right, and to a certain extent, if you don't in some way indicate that you don't approve or don't go along with that, don't co-sign to it, then that starts to build momentum for this view is acceptable or right, or that's the way it is. And so you're sort of enabling that continued hatred and delusion. And of course, it's not very happy for them because they're angry all the time, So would you have any particular advice on how to deal with... Yeah, you wouldn't. No.
I'm not an advice guy. But I will say this, because the reason is because the way to deal with it is not something that I or you, we can't impose it on the situation.
Right.
The way to deal with it comes from a creative place. Now, the part of this that I didn't mention is when we really see through the judgment, when we see through it, like my relatives are the way they are. That's what's real. They are the way they are. That's life. That's what it is right now, this moment, this day, possibly. I don't know them, so I'm just taking your word for it.
It seems to be, and it doesn't seem to have changed.
Okay. So let's just assume that they are the way. Well, we know they're the way they are.
Yeah.
Period. We know that.
That's true.
Okay. Now, if you let them be the way they are, you give them their freedom, which just means you've come into harmony with life, right? Because they are the way they are. Mm-hmm. Stay with me.
Yeah. No, it sounds
stay
good
with
right now.
me.
Actually, it sounds good.
Right, because anything else would be kind of insanity. Would be saying, I'm going to argue with the way you are, which is kind of like arguing with the brick wall for being in front of you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't change anything, does it?
No.
Now, if you see, anybody, they are the way they are right now, this moment. It's not right. I'm not saying it's right or wrong the way they are. They're just the way they are, and you can really let that in. And you can really see how invested you are in changing them. Because that's what you'll see. You'll see, wow, I actually, if I'm telling the truth, I would actually really, really, really like to change them. And that's okay too. I'm not saying you shouldn't have that, but you see that.
Not necessarily even change, just have them at least consider an option.
Okay. You're really invested in them considering an option.
Yeah.
Okay? It could be anything. So you see it. You just see it. We're not making it right or wrong. You just see it. Mm-hmm. So I'm invested. Considering an option is a nice way of saying them changing. What if the option was to be way more nasty than they are? I don't imagine that's the option you'd want them to exercise.
At times I'm not sure it's possible, but...
Okay, but follow me to this point. When you really see that, and I'm not saying that to be in the presence of that is easy. no matter where you're coming from, that it's easy, that it's pleasurable, that it's pleasant, that you choose to be around it if you just let it be the way. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying we're not going into the future with this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It very much has to be in the moment.
Well, we can't go into the future.
Exactly, but most people do. They try. If we're really seeing, if we're really letting them actually be the way they are, which is what it means to drop our judgment, right?
Well, by default, that's what happens most of the time, but...
Right. Well, it happens, but there's something else happening within you.
Internal resistance, yeah.
Right, right. Because remember, your happiness doesn't depend on them. If it does, you're sunk.
Oh, right. It's more just sad to see, this just...
What makes it sad?
The boiling frustration that seems to be, there all the time, upset to the stomach, can't sleep, God, it would be easier if you weren't just hating the world all the time, but that sort of thing.
Yeah, might be. It might be easier for them.
Well, easier, it seems
So what
like,
what I'm looking for here is what I'm suggesting is when we can really let go of our judgment, which the only way to let go of it is to see through it, to see that none of it's really true. Then you're in a place of great creativity. Something can happen. There is a different way of relating with life, relating even with people that are very difficult for you in life, that comes from a much more creative response than how things should change. That's why I say it. I can't tell you, I can't impose that creative response upon you, because then it wouldn't be creative.
Oh, no, I'm not looking for a specific solution.
I know.
Just general.
I can't give you a general solution. It doesn't work that way.
This is general enough. It's...
See, so it's something. What I'm trying to help you, it comes alive in you a little bit, is this not so much the answer, but you get hooked on almost like the curiosity. Like when I drop this judgment, when I see through it, when I see that my judgment is no different than their judgment. Okay? Saying that this should be different is no different than thinking that everybody should be white or whatever the racist statement is. You see, we think there's levels of judgment.
Oh, God, it's even self-hatred, but that's...
There's just judgment.
Yeah.
Some lead to more drastic consequences. Some lead to more violence. Some lead to less. But in the end, this is really what I'm pointing at. When we can really see through this, then it's almost like this spin, because these kind of situations create a spin, a dynamic with you and them, and you kind of in this spin. And like you say, people can be in this spin, and most people are with their relatives their whole lives. They're in this spin. When you see through your judgments for a moment, that spin just stops. With no resolution. It just stops inside of you for a moment. And if you let it stop, and just be still with it, with that feeling of it's having stopped, with no conclusion, you still don't know what you're going to do. You still don't know how you're going to interact, but you've let it stop, because looking for that is still part of the spin.
Well, what I'm seeing is a possible different approach would be just considering for a moment that maybe she's actually happy that way. Maybe she's fine with that. That's just, she's not upset. It's just, this is entertainment or something. That doesn't seem likely, but I mean, that'd be a way to or just disengage at least a little bit.
Yeah, or just, it's none of your business. And it's none of my business. You see what I mean? Where somebody is, while they're the place they're in, all that, it's really not my business. That's their business. Now, if they want to act on that, and it has something to do with me, then it's my business.
Well, yeah, that would make it different.
Right, and then you have to act according to that. Now it's become your business. Or if they're acting, anyway. But you're getting close to it. You see, when that spin stops,
Yeah.
it does open you to different sort of perspectives, doesn't it?
There's
You see things a little bit differently.
potential there.
Yeah, that's the potential. That's all. That's really what I'm trying to kind of hook you on is the experience of that stopping and the arising of that potential, and something more creative comes out of it. And by creative, I mean what arises creatively isn't based in division. It's
Isn't based
something
in what?
else. It's not based in division. It's based in something else.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong here. It's not as if I'm biting my tongue for half an hour or an hour that it takes to have lunch or dinner together or
no.
something, but
I
it's
know.
frequently just, wow, okay.
I understand. Yeah, it doesn't. Whether it's a big thing or a little thing for you, it's the phenomena that's really important. You see, and of course, what you're talking about is something that can be very powerful, right? Very big spin. It can be.
Oh, at times when it gets very specific and extreme, then it's,
Right.
I thought I'd seen it all, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So that's why I say I can't tell you how to be, but something more creative options happen when you stop. They let them come to you. I wouldn't want to steal any of that away by telling you anything to do, because of course I can't know until I'm in that situation at that moment. Outside of that, I can't possibly know.
I'm breathing a little better and feel a hint of optimism, so that's
Yeah.
a start.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Be interesting to see how it goes.